The next speaker is the team from Adidas. As I mentioned, one of the programming objectives that we had for this year was to elevate the focus on next generation operations and infrastructure. And this talk came to us through one of our programming committee members, Jason Cox from Disney. And he mentioned some of the interactions that he had with someone that he met at the conference last year. And when I heard about what this team was doing, I got so excited because apparently at this conference they had some aha moments that really set into motion something that I think is truly astonishing and I think will become increasingly common among operations and infrastructure teams, not just at Adidas, but teams all over. So here to share the story is Fernando Cornago, Senior Director, Platform Engineering, and Markus Rautert, Vice President, Platform Engineering and Architecture.
See my creativity.
See my creativity.
Regarde-moi créer.
就凭创意。
See my creativity.
I'm the baddest thing you ever seen. I'm a front page magazine. I'm galactic, baby, I'm a star. It don't matter where you are, you should
So, thank you for this. So it's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you, Gene, for inviting us. So, after seeing a short video from our company, I hope you all know it. Maybe first a short introduction to ourselves. So that's us. So I'm Markus, and my colleague Fernando. He will introduce himself. So we're working. You see a little bit where we are in the organization. So I'm heading the platform engineering and architecture, which is kind of new and fresh group since January this year, actually. And maybe a little bit of myself. I'm 39 years old. I'm a father of 2 kids, 4 and 8, and that's probably what keeps me busy all the time. Rest of the day, I'm working in this great company and driving the change ahead, what we had around DevOps over coffee, the story we're going to tell you today.
Well, I am Fernando. Okay, I am also a father of 2 kids, but I'm 20 years old. And I've been devoting my entire life to create high-performing teams from Spain, okay, for software delivery companies. And since 3 years, I have, as I say, always the best job in the world, okay, because I can create the new, first leading the software development organization and now platform engineering from a global company with global impact, a company like Adidas, and walking distance from home, from where I was born. So that's amazing.
Yeah. So. That's enough for us. So maybe shortly a little bit about our company, and this is the belief we have in the company, that through sports we have the power to change life, and that's very important for us. It's the essence of all what we hear. It's rooted in our heritage and the product. And of course, this company is a large corporation. We also do have a strategy, and sometimes you need to link a lot of the investments and things we're doing back to the ambition. So looking at the company strategy, we call it Create the New. And it's for us, being a marketing company to the heart. It's about the product, the brand, the desire, and the people who are wearing our products, doing sports, changing lives. And of course, being a DAX corporation, we are also enlisted to the stock market. And there's, of course, financial targets, which you can see more on the right-hand side. Bottom and top line of kind of efficiency targets, we also have that and bear that in mind. Most importantly, how do we tackle this? And this you can see in the 3 pillars of the strategy, which is speed. So it's not just the speed of delivery of software product and our supply chain. It's really about making fast and good decisions. Another one is cities, which is a more, for us, a synonym of getting our products and solutions closer to the consumers where they are, the big cities, the small cities, urban and rural areas, but also about open source. And as a non-IT person, open source sometimes translates a little differently. So for us, it's open innovation, that's how we work with partners and colleagues, but we also translated it into IT, also jumping more on the classic open source term. And last but not least, and that's the most important, and that's why we're here today telling you a story of DevOps over coffee, is the culture, the people. So people working for and with us, and this is the storyline we'd like to share with you. Of course, some hard facts. I just jump over them very quickly. 21 billion revenue, 1 billion contribution, 1.1. We have more than 58,000 employees all over the world, 170 subsidiaries, and of course, some major location You probably don't find it on the map. Herzogenaurach spells very differently. But also larger locations like Amsterdam, Portland, of course, Shanghai, and so forth. Yeah, and as said,
Zaragoza.
oh yeah, Zaragoza. You also don't find it on the map that easily. It's like Herzogenaurach. So maybe we start with a little bit of a history.
Yeah.
And you see we do a handshake kind of presentation.
Yeah, let's start with a little bit of history because we are talking about a transformational journey. And in order to understand it better, I would like to start with the beginnings, okay? And I like this picture, okay, because this is how an internal software engineer capability looked like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Not because we didn't have anyone that knows how to develop, it's because we didn't, as a company, I think that we didn't value the capability enough, okay? So there was not a team behind. We have a couple of guys that knew how to code, but they felt, I think, like lonely and miserable working in different products, and at the end they end up leaving the company or turning into a project manager. It's because we had an IT that it was mainly a demand manager or project manager based IT, where we had a single software provider, our software vendor, the development vendor, and our demand manager was putting some work into their demand manager. They did the job, and 6 months later, you know the story, okay? I deliver whatever you like. So when we decided to start growing and try out, well, this is our engineering today. Okay, we have more than 150, and we continuously are growing, okay? By demonstrating that cost has been extremely reduced, quality has been extremely improved, but that's not important, okay? That we have enabled, the important thing is that we have enabled the speed in the business, okay? And it's what we keep doing. And that was one day where we celebrate our all engineering day with 150 people. Jean came, so we had the pleasure of having Jean giving us a keynote remotely from Starbucks in Portland, okay, to Germany. And I think that it was an amazing day. One thing that we could not think, like 2-3 years ago, impossible, okay? So how did we start, okay? For the very basic, we didn't have these things, so we had to get our code under control, okay, with our ticketing systems, CI/CD, quality, our code repo. So we created like a perfect and traceable software delivery cycle. It was the first thing to do, okay? All our internal people started using our tooling. Okay, we had to categorize, okay, all the applications that we had. We had more than 1,000 IT systems, and every day we have more than 1,000 people developing code and putting code in our systems, okay? Mainly external by that time, and now little by little, we are adding our internal capacity there, okay? So we had the target of, okay, quality at the top. Being vendor independent, we started bringing different software providers and partners, and internal skills, okay? We target that for every of our critical system, we needed to have some internal guy knowing how to build and code on top of the platform. And we are obsessed, we will get into details later, we are obsessed with data and metrics. So we created a very round metric called first time right, okay? And it was targeted to be the perfect metric. Lessons learned, don't do that. That's not working, okay? Because we put together the agile or in scope, okay, how many story points we deliver, okay, the different teams. That's tricky, you know, velocity is not always the best thing to measure. The defects and the quality, okay? And we try to do a one-size-fits-all strategy. That it was good by that time, but I think it was super complex, okay? Because we had huge existing code base, measuring this was difficult, but it was like the seed, okay? The seed of what we have right now with metrics, and I will explain you later, okay? And how was the way with focus on our people? It was challenging, okay? Because when you start deploying new engineers, all of them, it was a must for hiring that they were hands-on people wanting to do really cool stuff. But you deploy one engineer in a team of 15, 20 people from different software providers, it was super difficult because at the end the guy was doing, of course, coding sometime. It was what he was hired for, or he or she. But he was doing sometimes technical architecture because depending on the level of the architecture, we have some software architects doing boxes and arrows, okay? You know that? We pushed a lot already 3-4 years ago for automation everywhere and code quality. So imagine one guy receiving pull requests of 15 people from different vendors. At the end, you are completely lost track of the delivery. And at the end, who knows better? Because we wanted this traceability from contracts to delivery, even with our software providers. And at the end, the guy was sometimes taking care of the contracts, of the vendor management, of the, I don't know, doing the Scrum Master stuff. So it was super challenging. But at the same time, it was super rewarding for our people. Okay? Because we felt like the Spartans, like the conquerors of a company that didn't believe in software development. And we stopped hearing little by little that, but we are Adidas. Why should we build software if we sell shoes? Now you don't hear this anymore. Okay, that's important. We demonstrate by savings, by productivity, and of course we create the global impact, and now is the model. Okay, and now we are hiring like crazy, and we are creating these capabilities. Okay, but as I said, so the fun level of the guys were okay. They were more in the policeman side than in the technical geek side, where that is why they were hired for. But what happened in the meantime? So in the meantime, they didn't feel so lonely anymore because communities started popping up. Okay, and it's one thing that from the management we boost a lot. So connecting the guys. We changed the model, so we brought different vendors. Okay, different vendors, big ones, and also we brought what we call partners. Okay, not vendors. They are software companies or service companies that are very specialized, so you can learn with them. Sometimes they learn from you. Most of the time you learn from them. Okay, and you have now one vendor for every kind of need. And of course, there was a huge change on the architecture. We started playing around with containers already 4 or 5 years ago, but I would say that the major change didn't come until we implemented our own Kubernetes clusters on-prem and in AWS beginning of last year, of 2017. Okay? That was the game changer. So no excuse anymore to not deploy every day. Kubernetes was giving us, and is giving us, an unlimited set of resources. So directly by default, we already build software, continuously integrated, ramping up mock data, enabling green-blue deployments. Everything is there. No excuse about, no, SAT is busy because this key user is testing, and UAT is busy because they are testing the release of 3 months ago. So we had tools that were not deployed to production in 2 years. 2 years ago. So that's a no-go, okay? So we now do things completely differently, okay? Now we have other game changes, like for us, like Kafka that is changing for us the way how our applications interact with each other, okay, based in streaming, or Terraform, okay? Now we have all the things that we build, even infrastructure, is completely automated. But, so that was, okay, I think that now is when the fun level, when things are starting getting fun and up to speed, okay? But I will say, and now Markus will tell why still what keeps us awake at night, okay? Because we are pushing a lot, and it's our obsession that all the teams keep providing the maximum speed possible and with the right freedom, okay? All the possible freedom, but without killing, okay, the advantage of working in a big company sometimes. That are this community, building by default resilience and secure application, and standard not by standards. Standard is because we don't want everyone reinventing the wheel all the time, okay? And also, we are Adidas, so at the same time, how do we make it fun? Because it's at the end what the guys that we hire wants, okay?
Yeah, so you probably heard it before from the speaker. If you want to go fast, and you don't have proper brakes, you might crash. So the faster you want to go, the better your brakes need to be. And that is exactly what we discussed. So how do we actually set this thing up? And we were working in a kind of a project mode with 8, 9, 10 people maybe as the people who were willing to drive the change. And then at one point in time, we said, okay, the way how we build the software and the way we set up the teams, it got to change. So why is it called DevOps over coffee? And this is a small storyline I'm going to give you. And I also had it when we talked to Gene before. So it actually started like this. And that's the Red Ox. It's a restaurant in Herzogenaurach. You will, even in Herzogenaurach, have difficulties finding it. And this is actually where we sat down the first time with our CIO. I call it the CIO plus 8, because there was 8 technical people trying to convince him of to do things differently. And it felt a little bit like the Fellowship of the Ring, only we didn't have a ring to throw into some burning volcano. But this was really fighting against a lot of anticipation from the outside and the inside. How do we actually change the things, not in a small pilot? And why it's over coffee? Because at this point in time, there was a little coffee brand. We don't make a commercial here and that, but it was, and we had the Spanish colleagues there too, and he just was spot on that and said, okay, how do we call this little fellowship now we are going to do to change the way how we do development in the company? And he said, okay, that's the intention, so Café Intención. I hope I pronounced it correctly, Fernando?
Yeah, intención.
So we have the intention to change that. So when we met together and said, it was around in April 2017, said, okay, let us come back with a plan how we can do that. And not in a way that we create a small digital lab or 10 people on the side, but how we're really doing it on top of what the company is doing inside of the operating model of the complete IT. So, and we sat there and we did all the planning. And as in the movie, The Lord of the Rings, so when they lose Gandalf, we somehow lost the CIO on the way. So he was not available. We couldn't reach out to him. It was like, what happened? We have this great idea. We looked in DevOps topologies and all of these things. And then we said, okay, we need to have some other kind of coffee. And this is where we called it, okay, there needs to be some more carajo to it. So we had another coffee with the same group of 8 people, and we tried to convey back, so how do we do this now? And we made a really stringent plan in 2 months on top of the complete IT organization on how we're going to change the way we're working together. And there was this final call. And as in the movies, they find Gandalf somewhere later, and he wears a white robe. So I was with Michael, our COO, in a small town in Austria, Linz, where there's a brand we acquired called Fantastic, and they have like an office there with 100 engineers, and they're working in the way we wanted to do, but more like a startup on the side. And we sat there outside at, I remember it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, in the small garden of the hotel. And we had a conversation, we put all the plans down, and I said, okay, Michael, can we now do this? And then we walked back and said, okay, let's do it. And this was basically marking the cornerstone of the decision of getting it changed. So what did we do? So first, we looked at how we currently organized, and you probably have some organization chart of yourself. I don't go into that very terribly. So what does it actually mean? There's certain units mirroring the business. We call them differently, digital IT, corporate marketing, you name it. And of course, we had started the years past some kind of horizontal delivery model. We had development, testing, integration, operations. But also we had the architecture side on the right-hand side and said, okay, we need to combine these teams together, not as a single unit, but as something working together on top of the current model. And how shall that actually look like? And the way we designed the organization, also to our cultural change, was we did some kind of a reverse convoy here. So we defined the products we would like these teams to create. And remember, this is the better brakes we all need to go faster. And we set up, okay, what is the principles we apply here to have the teams so that everybody in the team is empowered to lead, that we have a cross-functional collaboration on all of these silos you've seen before, and that we don't have a stringent set of hierarchy in the team, which is very important for such teams. And at the end of the day, so it didn't look terribly different. So when we set first the function, we said, okay, how do we work together? And the first one was, okay, we give it a name, as usually, everything needs to have a name. But then we decided, okay, how do we enable and co-create with our colleagues in the function for the time being? And also, as our other main horizontal unit, which was there for years, IT infrastructure, was down. We said, okay, how do we connect back to them that we are making sure we are not cutting the line on top of them when we have everything software defined using the cloud or commercial platforms. So it was super important first to tell our team how we want them to work. And this is the culture thing. So the culture will be applied. In the company, we have what we call the 3 Cs, creativity, confidence, and collaboration. And we said, okay, what is it what we would like to do? Ideas to action. Commit, then deliver, but also you're allowed to say no. And the other thing, most importantly, team success over individual success. Of course, we would like our people to be empowered, super strong individuals, of course. The platforms we're using, value adding, and Fernando will show you afterwards a little bit how that looks like. But also, it was very important to tell others how it will be to work with us. And this is the most important point we started with, was the transparency. So tell people what you're doing, what you're not. Because if you're trying to deliver the brakes to the bob, you can go really fast, you have to tell people what you're doing and what you're not doing. The other thing was focus on value, to have shared common targets based on value. In the past, Fernando mentioned it, we had some metrics, we had a lot of metrics, like how much commit we do a day. But velocity means nothing if what you deliver is of no value. And also, most importantly, remove constraint. You probably know this ticket please thing. So you want something? Please raise a ticket. So it was the first thing we said, hashtag no tickets. That doesn't mean, though, we create them. We create them, but at the end of a conversation. So the ways how we've embarked the teams, we are using also modern tools and ways to communicate and work with each other, but we're also doing, of course, our compliance check. And yes, of course, we are working with tickets, but the boundary is not the ticket. It's a means to document something for compliance. That's it. Of course, the collaboration is one of the biggest, and experiment and learn, which led us then to a way what we are calling for ourselves then the fluid organization, which is Fernando giving you a little bit of an insight how that actually looks like when you change teams differently and you disembark hierarchies.
Exactly. So we arrange ourselves also in products, okay? But for us also Scrum, that is the default, de facto for the organization was not working, okay? Because we have really, really short-term assignments, sometimes hand in hand with this co-creation concept that we have with the different software delivery teams. So for us, a Kanban mode is working much, much better. And also this fluid. Why? Because of course you need these kings or these captains, okay, that are the guys standing in for the different platforms, I will show you later, that we have detected. But the rest of the guys, the rest of our techie teams, we have a total of 60 around
65.
Around 60, 65 in platform engineering. They can be working in different products, different days, or even in the same day. Okay? So we have a common backlog, so we can manage our portfolio of platform engineering, but it's really, really fluid. And as we have an OKR process for setting up our targets, and it's done every quarter, so it's really easy for us to change the direction. Okay? So our platforms, okay, and only to name it, I'm not going to enter into the detail. I can discuss with you later what we have. Okay? So as I told you, so the mother of the beast, that is our container orchestration, okay, based in Kubernetes. We have now around 18 clusters, I think, around the globe in different AWS regions, plus our on-prem for critical data that we cannot move to the cloud yet. Continuous integration delivery, where we provide some seed projects in our default languages, Java, JavaScript for the moment, and Go, we are getting there. And by default, you can fork it, and by default, you have security, auto-scaling, etc. Of course, we move also from our Jenkins to Jenkins as a service, so we have built our own decentralized tooling for continuous integration based on GitOps plus ephemeral agents, okay? Because we realized that you cannot treat two projects the same way. Even ecom was eating up 60%, our ecom 60% of our resources in our central Jenkins, and you need to provide the teams speed and freedom to put their own plugins, install everything without affecting the rest. Monitoring, not only application, APM, login, also we are monitoring business, okay, with a face data based on face data platform based on Kafka and Elastic. Test automation, okay, we have also a common infrastructure for test automation, also with some artifacts that you can download and fork, and by default, you have an end-to-end testing cycle. API, integration and streaming, okay. For the new wall, okay, we apply streaming by default. And the old wall in the core integration, we are also working heavily with the responsibles to make it also self-service, because it's one thing that we want to do. All our platforms being self-service for the different teams, so they can go as deep as possible. Okay. Also, our last platform also moving to self-service. that is our ambition, is our big data platform, heavily based this one on AWS. Okay? And our ERP also, where we also apply continuous delivery practices on ERP. And now we are pushing, because I was discussing the other day with our colleague in ERP, and we need to be faster than the business. So let's not wait business to ask for speed. We know that we will provide the speed as IT. Okay, so we need to go one step further than business also in ERP. And what's our services will do? Okay, so of course, all our platforms are supported by our internal engineers, plus extended force with our trusted providers and colleagues from different companies, continuously evolving them until they become commodity. And we know that some of the platforms that we have now, they will not be there at the end of the year, because one cloud provider will provide this by default, and it will fit into our request. We consult, we co-create. Okay, we have different teams in the verticals, teams that they need more babysitting because they are not prepared, and teams that in fact they are teaching us things. Okay, so we are only the glue department that is putting things together. Training and onboarding. Okay, we are onboarding like 15 to 20 engineers every month that we are hiring. So it's heavily time consuming. Communities, meetups, internal, external, we do a lot. And what about the standards? Okay, how do we manage the standards? And I know that this word is, much of you don't like this word. But we are clear with this. So don't expect that as platform, as the central engineering team, we are setting up the standards for you there. Okay, we are only centralizing. So we have created our technical reference model. Okay, basically we have different groups or areas where they have a responsible. And it's the only requirement that you need to do if you are working in a vertical. One example is, coding languages. Okay, we have there our defaults, our exceptions for, Kotlin. Are you allowed to go Kotlin by default? Okay, if you are in the mobile space and you are Android developer, yes. If not, not. Okay, and the only requirement from a guy that is working in a product is if what is there in the technical reference model is not fitting your needs and you have something better, it's only raise your hand. You don't need to create any paper or so on. It's a phone call, 1 minute. And as we are in the platform engineering team, we are as nerd as they are. We want to try new stuff. We will go with you, hand by hand. And if really is bringing a benefit for the organization, is our next standard tool. Okay? So it's basically about this. And last thing, metrics. So you remember the opening video? What did you see in the opening video? It was people, well, mainly women doing sports. So this is what we see in IT, in Adidas.
See my creativity?
See my creativity.
Regarde-moi créer.
Jumping Chwangi.
See my creativity.
Baddest thing you ever seen. I'm a front page magazine. I'm galactic, baby, I'm a star. It don't matter where you are, you should watch me.
So exactly. So who is playing now sports without the watch to improve or to gamify against one of his colleagues? Okay? No one. Who is now watching? Who imagines to watch a basketball game without the scoreboard there? It's impossible, right? So the same we need to apply for software. Okay, and this is one sentence that I picture myself. It's my most liked tweet ever, and it's not mine, so it's a bit. And it's from the great Kelsey Hightower, okay, the guru of Kubernetes. And it states that data is what we collect, becomes information when you analyze, and knowledge once you understand it, okay? And that's the key. And why are we talking about data? It's because it's our obsession, okay? As a sports brand, performance brands, we are heavily based on data, okay? Data for our growth, trends, also sales, NPS, consumer NPS, and also employee NPS, okay? We are measuring everything as a company. And also I was here, I had the pleasure to be here last year, and also attending the workshop of metrics with Jess Campbell and Nicole. And it was also some eye-opener for me because I was super aligned with this. Okay? So nowadays, no one believes that IT doesn't matter, like in the past. Okay? Even you see that this, right? All the unicorns are, in fact, software companies, not business companies. It's true, and if you read the world, I think most of you have read the Accelerate, and it's clear that software delivery performance drives organization performance, and that we are here because we are not unicorns, but also we can do a lot of stuff, okay, around that. That's why we have our own tooling for metrics, okay? It's a system that we built already 2 years ago, and now it's getting traction because all the teams want to onboard them, and it's basically taking data from the APIs of our different systems, our code repository, our ticketing system, our quality system, our CI integration platform, and putting data together. Okay? This data is being used by the teams to improve themselves in the dailies in front of the detailed data, and now we want to roll it out to put some global metrics in the company, okay, and how IT is enabling business. That's our next thing with the platform, okay? And as a new team, what keeps us busy every day? The onboarding, as I said, we have created a concept to onboard all the engineers together and work with each other. Improving our platform. We are releasing our open source portal next month. And we are only focusing things that matter, okay? Mainly our e-com, our mobile app, and so on. And what's next? As I always tell, we don't know. Okay, we know that we are in a transformational team. Okay, yeah, they are rushing me a little bit. And this is what I always tell our people, okay? Make yourself redundant, and you will always have the next thing to do. Okay, and it's also our belief. If we don't exist next year as a team, we will have succeed as a company because we will not be needed, and the different teams with business, they will work in a proper way. And that's it, basically.